Part 1, Christian's Journey, Chapter 1, Christian in Trouble. As I walked through the wilderness of the world, I came to a place where there was a den. There I lay down to sleep, and as I slept, I dreamed a dream. In my dream, I saw a man clothed with rags, standing by a path with a book in his hand and a great burden upon his back. His face was turned from his own house, which stood nearby. I saw him open his book and read, then begin to weep. No longer being able to control his feelings, he broke out with a mournful cry, saying, "What shall I do?" In this condition, he went into his house. Drying his tears, he restrained himself as best he could so that his wife and children might not know of his distress. But he could not be silent long, for his trouble increased. At length he began to tell his wife and children, "Oh, my dear wife and children, I, your father and companion, am undone by reason of an awful burden that lies heavily upon my heart. I am surely warned that this our city shall be burned with fire from heaven, in which terrible destruction all of us shall surely perish, unless some way can be found whereby we may be delivered." His family were amazed, not that they believed what he was saying was true, but they thought that he was losing his mind. Since night was falling, they hurriedly put him to bed, hoping that sleep would settle his nerves and relieve him of his dreadful fears. But he spent the night in sighing and tears. When the morning came, they asked him how he felt. "Worse and worse," he replied. When he began talking again of his condition, his family became impatient and rude. After hearing his mournful words for a while, they tried to drive away his pitiful mood by harsh, surly treatment, sometimes chiding, sometimes scolding, and sometimes ignoring him completely. Then he withdrew to his own room to lament his misery and to pity and pray for his family. He would also walk alone in the field, occasionally reading from his book and praying aloud. One day, in deep meditation while walking in the field, he burst out crying, "What shall I do to be saved?" He looked this way and that as if he would run, yet he stood still, for he could not decide which way to go. Meets evangelist. Then I saw a man approach him and heard him say, "My name is Evangelist. May I ask why you are so disturbed?" He answered, "Sir, I understand from this book I hold in my hand that I am condemned to die, and after that to come to judgment. And I am not willing to do the first, nor able to do the second." "Why not willing to die?" asked Evangelist, "seeing this life is attended with so many evils?" The man answered, "Because I am afraid this burden on my back will sink me lower than the grave, and that I shall fall into hell. And if I am not prepared to die, I am not ready for judgment, and to go from there to execution. The thoughts of these things make me weep." "If that is your condition," said Evangelist, "then why do you stand here?" "Because I do not know where to go." Then Evangelist gave him a scroll which had these words written within, "Flee from the wrath to come." Having read these words, the man looked earnestly at Evangelist and asked, "But where must I go?" Pointing with his finger over a wide field, Evangelist said, "Do you see that little gate yonder on the far side of the field?" "No," he said. "Then do you see that tiny shining light?" I think I do," he answered. "Now keep your eye on that light, and you will go straight to the little gate, at which, when you knock, you will be told what you must do." Leaves city of destruction. Now I saw in my dream that the man began to run. He had not gone far from his house when his wife and children came crying out after him to come back. But he put his finger in his ears and ran on, crying, "Life, life, eternal life." He did not look back, but increased his speed toward the middle of the plain.